Eidolon had been a peaceful colony, built on the bones of ancient red mountains and plains of silver-leaf trees. It was the frontier jewel of Earth's expansion. The people here lived quiet lives, farming, teaching, raising children under 3 suns. But peace, as history had shown, was never permanent. The Galactic Empire came under the banner of protection. Ships as vast as cities, alien soldiers with scaled armor and coal-black eyes. The Varnak, enforcers of the Empire's will, landed first in orbit, then on the soil. They claimed it was to stabilize trade, to defend against pirates, to integrate humanity into the galactic fold. Within 6 months, Eidolon was occupied. They rewrote the laws. Terran customs were labeled primitive. Education was replaced with imperial indoctrination. Public assemblies banned. Weapons confiscated. Resistance flickered at first. Graffiti on walls. Whispered songs of Earth. Defiant stares. Then the bombing happened. No one knew who was truly responsible. A small imperial convoy destroyed. No human group claimed credit. But the Varnak didn't care for details. They needed a message. They needed obedience. They found 3 women. Civilians. A teacher, a medic, a mother of 4. The charges: sedition, conspiracy, aiding rebels. The trial lasted 12 minutes. Eidolon's capital square had never seen a gallows before the Varnak built one. The rope was imported from their homeworld, a ceremonial noose, woven with iron thread. The execution was set at noon, and it would be broadcast system-wide. The people of Eidolon were forced to watch. The women stood proud, even in chains. The teacher, Kell, looked straight into the camera as the noose was pulled around her neck. The medic whispered a prayer to Earth's oceans. The mother wept silently, eyes searching the crowd for her children. When the trapdoors opened, silence followed. Not from grief, but horror, rage, humiliation. Across the human systems, the broadcast rippled like a dagger to the heart. On Mars, children saw it live. On Europa, workers dropped their tools and stared at the screens in disbelief. On Earth, in the midnight halls of the United Terran Command, generals clenched fists. Within the hour, every major Terran news outlet ran the same headline: "They hanged our women." Admiral Garen Lorne of the UTC stood before the Council of Earth, his face as unreadable as the void. "They chose to do it publicly," he said. "They chose to humiliate us. They thought we would kneel." President Illyria Sato's voice was cold steel. "They believe mercy is weakness. They believe restraint is submission." Lorne nodded. "Then they will see what we are without either." The council chamber fell silent. And then, unanimously, they voted. Protocol Vengeance, activated. Deep beneath the ice of Titan, hidden for decades, black ships stirred from slumber. AI dreadnoughts blinked to life. Quantum cores pulsed. Human stealth fleets, long dormant in dark space, received coded pings. Every admiral, every operative, every deep cover unit across the stars received one simple message: remember Eidolon. Commander Rhea Morgan sat in her quarters aboard the TSV Vindicator, watching the footage again. She had watched it 50 times. Kell, her younger sister, standing beneath the noose, her chin high even as the Varnak's soldier stepped back. She had begged Rhea to let her join the UTC. Rhea had said no. "You're a teacher, Aaron. The galaxy needs that more than soldiers." Now Aaron was a symbol. Rhea closed her eyes. The ship's AI chimed softly. "Orders confirmed, Commander. Operation Fireveil begins in 36 hours. How many fleets?" 7 confirmed. 2 more in dark transit. And targets? 13 Varnak worlds. High-value strikes. 0 diplomatic contact. Rhea stood, the black fabric of her command uniform catching the pale light. She opened a private channel, secure and silent. To the entire fleet, she spoke. "We warned them. We begged for peace. They gave us gallows." She paused. "Now we give them more." Space was quiet. Not peaceful, just silent. A kind of silence that came before storms. And from the black, humanity moved. The TSV Vindicator exited dark space like a blade tearing through fabric, followed by a dozen ships of similar build, sleek, matte, and almost invisible to common scans. The stealth fleet had no insignias, no transponders, no mercy. This was Firevale. Across 13 sectors, identical fleets emerged, not from hyperspace lanes or charted jump gates, but from void corridors humanity had mapped in secret over a century. While the Galactic Empire debated philosophy and species integration, Earth had prepared for extinction. They weren't aiming to win wars. They were preparing to erase enemies. On board the Vindicator, Commander Rhea Morgan stood at the war table, a 3D star map flickering in the dim red light. Each red dot represented a Varnak world marked for extermination. First strike in 30 seconds, said the AI, Hera. Targets locked. All systems green. Begin, Rhea said. From orbit, the first wave fell. Kateris 4, a key Varnak fuel refinery world, was obliterated in under 4 minutes. Humanity's neutron lance platforms didn't just penetrate shields. They turned matter into dust at the molecular level. Citywide shields, once thought impenetrable, collapsed like wet paper. Varnak citizens screamed into dead communication channels. No warning, no declaration of war, just death. Across the Empire's edge, human troops deployed in silent black dropships, swarming facilities, governors' palaces, and broadcast stations. Every human marine wore a single patch, a white noose on a field of black. They didn't negotiate. They didn't hesitate. In the streets of Korzanik, the Empire's border capital, civilians found their high governor crucified against the palace gates. Scrawled in Terran letters above him, for Aaron, for the three. On the Vindicator, Rhea watched the reports come in, calm and deliberate. Her face was still, but her eyes burned. We've cracked their entire relay network, Hera reported. Empire fleets are blind. Their AI infrastructure couldn't counter our virus. They never expected us to use synthetic warfare. Good. Move to secondary targets. No survivors. Behind her, her second-in-command, Lieutenant Kai Dorn, hesitated. Commander, you sure? Some of these colonies, they're non-combatants. Rhea turned. Did they hesitate when they tied the rope? Kai looked away. No, ma'am. Then neither do we. In the Empire's core systems, panic spread. The Varnak High Council convened emergency sessions. Messages were sent to Earth's diplomatic channels. Pleas for ceasefires. Offers of negotiation. Promises of justice. Earth didn't answer. The UTC broadcasted only once, across all known sectors. You have made the gallows your message. Now you shall speak to the noose. That transmission played on repeat as the second wave hit. Rhea's ship led the charge into the Jenner Belt, where Major Varnak military stronghold housed their infamous Enforcer Division, the same unit responsible for the Eidolon hangings. Human drop pods rained from orbit like meteors, slamming into the complex before alarms even finished sounding. Marines moved through corridors like ghosts, efficient and ruthless. When they found the Enforcer commander, Rhea took the kill herself. He tried to plead, claimed he was just following orders. She shot him once in the kneecap, let him scream, then dragged him to the center of the hall and hung him from a steel rafter with a length of synthetic cord. The soldiers watched in silence. No cheers, no celebration, only justice. 3 days in a fire veil. The Empire had lost 27 worlds. Civil unrest bloomed on others. Non-human races long suppressed by the Varnak began to riot, emboldened by humanity's fury. Whispers began to spread, old stories retold. The humans, the pink-skinned primitives, that they didn't fight like anyone else. They didn't seek conquest. They sought retribution, and they never stopped. The Varnak had spent generations thinking themselves untouchable. Now their colonies burned, their fleets in ruins, and a cold dread settled in their bones. They woke the wrong enemy. Back aboard the Vindicator, Rhea stood alone in her quarters, staring at a photo on the wall. 3 women, smiling under the red trees of Eidolon. Her sister's arms were around her shoulders. The past felt 1,000 years away. Hera's voice broke the silence. Commander, new orders from UTC High Command. Go ahead. Proceed to Phase 3. Target, Varnak Prime. Rhea exhaled slowly. Her voice was steady. Then let the galaxy watch what comes next. Varnak Prime, once the radiant heart of the Galactic Empire, now braced for impact. The skies above the throne world darkened, not from weather, but from the silhouette of incoming Terran fleets. Thousands of ships, sleek and silent, eclipsed the stars in disciplined formation. Civilians packed into evacuation shelters. Priests chanted. Generals shouted into broken communication links. The planet's defense grid, once hailed as impenetrable, had gone dark. Humanity had corrupted its command software hours ago. They were coming, and they weren't stopping. In orbit, the TSV Vindicator floated above the chaos. Commander Rhea Morgan watched the planetary map on her bridge display, dozens of red blips marking enemy installations. Begin orbital precision strikes, she said. No capital cities, just their symbols of power. The Varnak Senate building vanished in a white-hot burst of kinetic energy. 1,000 years of bureaucracy and oppression turned to dust in seconds. Next came the Fleet Command Tower, the Imperial Academy, the Grand Archive. Not civilian homes, not schools, just the Empire's monuments. Terran war doctrine was clear: eradicate the legacy. Let the people choose what grows from the ashes. Rhea walked past her crew. No cheers, no jokes, no bravado. Only focus, only cold duty. In her hand, she held a data chip. Broadcast this on all open frequencies, she told Hera. The hollow emitters flickered to life, projecting the footage across every Empire channel. 3 women in worn clothes, hands bound. A rope, a platform, a trapdoor. The hanging, uncut, unaltered. Then it cut to Rhea, standing on the bridge. Her voice filled every screen in the Empire. This is what you showed us. This is what you gave us. Now we give it back. Below, resistance crumbled. Empire garrisons began abandoning their posts. Some defected, others committed mass suicide. Rebellion surged on half a dozen subjugated worlds. On Aros, 9 enslaved miners seized their overseers and broadcast their executions with human slogans. The humans remember. In the outer colonies, the phrase had become a rallying cry. Non-human races, long beaten into servitude by the Varnak, now rose under human banners, not because they trusted Earth, but because they feared nothing more than being left behind. Humanity wasn't here to liberate. It was here to punish, and no one wanted to be on the wrong side of that fire. The Varnak High Council held emergency session beneath the Imperial Citadel. Surrounded by trembling advisors and crackling screens, they sent a final message to Earth. We surrender. Full unconditional. We beg clemency. The reply came instantly. A single line. Too late. Within the hour, the Citadel was breached. Not by orbital bombardment, but by Terran Marines. Rhea led them personally, descending from the Vindicator in a black dropship. The Citadel's doors melted under fusion torches. Inside, the last remnants of Empire power were dragged out, screaming and clawing, their robes stained with sweat and fear. The Varnak Emperor, a towering being with 4 arms and golden implants, tried to speak as Rhea stepped forward. You can't do this, he rasped. There are rules. There are galactic. She shot him in the leg. He collapsed with a howl. There were women, she said, voice low, steady. They were teachers, healers, mothers. You hanged them for show. She tossed a length of black rope to her soldiers. Now hang him. They did. On the same broadcast network the Varnak had used for the Eidolon execution, the galaxy watched as the Emperor of the Galactic Empire swung from a steel beam, his body twitching, his golden implant sparking. No speech, no trial, just consequence. Later, in the ruins of the Citadel, Rhea stood alone, staring into a fire where alien banners turned to ash. Hera's voice broke the silence. All targets secured. Imperial control has collapsed in 41 systems. The Empire is no more. An Earth. Rhea asked. Public morale stabilized. UTC command request status report. Rhea didn't answer. She looked up at the stars, her face lit by the fire. "We didn't want this," she said quietly, "but they wanted to see how far we'd go." She tapped her comm. "Tell Earth. Phase 4 complete. We're done here." And just like that, the Terran fleets began to vanish, one by one, back into the void. They didn't stay to rule. They didn't carve out empires. They left behind silence, ash, and a galaxy that would never forget. Varnak Prime burned behind them. The Terran fleet hovered in silence, its engines cold, its weapons powered down. Below, the once glorious capital was a fractured wasteland of crumbling towers and ash-filled air. The last screams had faded. The Empire had been bled dry, and humanity had already turned its back. Commander Rhea Morgan stood at the observation deck of the TSV Vindicator, her hands clasped behind her back as she watched the planet shrink in the distance. Fire still raged across the equatorial zones. The Imperial Palace was a jagged ruin. The throne chamber now served as a mass grave. "Final fleet departing now," said Hera, her voice subdued. "All operatives recalled. Clean operations complete. No trace. None. As always." Rhea nodded. "Then we're done." The campaign had taken just 19 days. 19 days to dismantle an empire centuries old. 19 days to turn one act of cruelty into a firestorm that swept the stars. The Varnak had thought themselves invincible. They believed humanity's patience was weakness, its diplomacy a leash. They never realized it was a muzzle. Now they knew. The galaxy knew. Across 100 systems, silence reigned where empire banners once flew. Alien worlds that had lived under Varnak control for generations now stood ungoverned. Chaos would follow, power vacuums, skirmishes, new empires rising. But one truth cut through the uncertainty like a blade. No one would touch a human world again. Not after Eidolon. Not after Firevale. On those liberated planets, the people did not erect statues of human heroes. They didn't name cities after Earth or fly Terran flags. But they did build one kind of monument. A gallows. Always 3 ropes. Always facing east. A warning carved in every language. Do not provoke the humans. In the UTC High Chamber on Earth, President Illyria Sato addressed the United Terran Assembly. She wore black. Not mourning, not vanity, but memory. Behind her, footage played, the Eidolon hangings, then the fall of Varnak Prime. She said only 5 words. "We do not forgive easily." Then she left the podium, leaving diplomats and ministers in stunned silence. No one asked for clarification. In deep space, the Terran fleets scattered like ghosts. Most returned to their silent stations. Dark space bastions, stealth arc ships, deep ocean launch bunkers. A few were decommissioned. A few went further, past known space, to sleep again until needed. Rhea stayed behind. The Vindicator remained in high orbit over Eidolon, her home. The red trees still stood, though some were scorched by occupation. The people had begun to return, rebuild. There was a new school where the gallows once stood. It had been named after her sister, Erin Kell Memorial Institute for Peace and Learning. Rhea visited once. She didn't speak to anyone, just stood under the sun and let the breeze pass through her fingers. She didn't wear her uniform. She didn't want thanks. On the 10th day after the war ended, she recorded one last message. A transmission, encrypted, encoded to echo across every known system, human and alien alike. It began with silence. Then Rhea's voice, calm and clear. "We are not conquerors. We are not tyrants. But we are not weak. We are not forgetful. We came in peace. We offered friendship. We gave warnings. And when you hanged our women, when you broadcast their final breath, you told us what we were to you. Less than beings. Less than worthy. You thought we would kneel. We don't kneel. We rise. This was not war. It was reckoning. Let the galaxy learn this. If you touch our children, our teachers, our healers, if you spill innocent blood." She paused. "You will not find our mercy. You will find our vengeance." The message ended. It looped for 40 days. No one dare block it. Centuries later, in the histories of alien worlds, the era had a name. The Black Requital. In their tales, the humans were not conquerors. They were ghosts. Flames. Judgment. The races that rose from the Empire's ashes made sure of one thing. They left Terran space alone. No incursions. No provocations. No alliances made without caution. And on Eidolon, the red trees grew taller again. The school children learned of the three women. They said their names aloud every year, so they'd never be forgotten. Aaron Kell, Dr. Liana Miles, Drivas, the ones who were hanged, the ones who woke humanity.